and the truth! Damn you, unbeliever!
How's it going, everyone? Joey here, and I'm joined by Jake, and I'm going to wear this VR headset the entirety of this review. So we're going to talk about Synapse, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't wear this the entire review, Jake. It's just too much.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, we're talking about Synapse, which is kind of the next, I would say, big PlayStation VR2 game. It's been shown off in the last two PlayStation showcases. I think PS VR2 fans are excited for this. You especially were excited for this, Jake. So you got to play it, I got to play it. Let's talk about Synapse. So right off the bat, how'd you feel about this game?
Yeah, I don't know how excited I was for it. I think I was itching for something to play on my PS VR2. And listen up, everybody. Synapse, developed by Dreams. This is the next must-buy PlayStation VR 2 game. I got goosebumps the first time I used telekinesis in this game. I was having this conversation recently with somebody about how VR games, all of them, depending on what headset you're using, who you are, how your eyes behave, whatever, sometimes it's just like hit and miss experientially. You'll talk to one person who, this game really worked for them, everything was, the motion tracking, everything was good. You'll talk to somebody else who just like could not get into it. Synapse, I was into it. My first run, I was like, I am in complete control. This feels amazing. I love a lot of the stylistic choices it's making. And I think that there's a beautiful simplicity in the gun in one hand, telekinesis in the other. You can do, some other little actions, but that's mostly it. And I think what Dreams proves with this game, I've never played a game from them before, is that they know what fun is. You know what I mean? This is not a full-priced game. This does not have all the accoutrements of your big Sony first-party titles, but dang! I was having a blast! I'm sitting there, I'm looking around, I'm sweating, I'm moving fast, I feel like a freaking Jedi with a gun. All about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you there, honestly.
Yeah.
It really is a must-buy for PSVR2 owners. And just the fact that it's not a fully priced game, I believe it's 30 or 35 when it comes out. It's definitely worth it there. If I bought this game had I not been given a code for it, by the way, Dreams, thank you for sending us 2 codes so we both could play it. Shout out to you guys. Yeah, yes. It's fantastic. It's really fun. Maybe within like the first hour, that was like me getting used to the controls. At first, it felt a little bit frustrating, especially with the telekinesis, because telekinesis is controlled with your left hand, yes, but you have to look at the objects with the eye tracking in order to get them. Now, I have this condition with my eyes called strabismus, which means like one eye's a little slanted. So I don't know if that has affected my experience with the telekinesis function. I always feel like if I'm not looking at something with my right eye, for some reason, it doesn't function well for me. And by the way, comment section, thank you so much for always reminding me that one eye always looks slanted. I appreciate it. I didn't know that. Anyway, yeah, so that was kind of a hurdle for me, but I was like you, Jake. I was hooked after that. I was completely hooked. I couldn't wait to keep going back and play this game. Like, I forget how much I really enjoy roguelites, because this is very much a roguelite in the vein of Hades, in the vein of Returnal. During each run, you get these new abilities, or like mostly the same abilities, but I always have those abilities that I always stick to, the ones that provide more health. Man, it's just so addicting every new run. This VR game feels like the most video gamey VR game, but like in a good way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, roguelites and VR are a beautiful match. Beautiful. Because when you turn that headset on, it's exactly what you want to be doing. You want to be thrust into a game. You want to go, okay, I'm jumping in, I'm playing the game, and that's exactly what you get here. Just to zoom out a little bit, kind of like the thrust of this game is that you've got this guy who's chained up, and we're going into his mind to extract some secrets. So you can kind of get like the synapse in the title here, your synapses are firing. And they do some fun stuff where like as you're going through this guy's mind trying to get these secrets, it's like there's blocks that you can use your telekinesis on. Did you catch what the game calls those?
What are they called?
Mental blocks.
Oh, wow, I didn't catch that.
Yes. Oh, it's awesome. Yeah, okay. And the whole world, when you're outside in the game, you start out outside before you go into his mind. Everything's like normal and in color. Then you go in, hyper stylized world, black and white. Things have like a little glow around them to signify that that's what you're targeting and you can use telekinesis on. I think that this really works. When I saw trailers for this game, I was constantly wondering, was I going to get tired, or was I going to think it was a weird choice or strange to like be in black and white all the time? The answer is no, I totally stopped thinking about it. And actually, the game is so sharp. It's like one of the sharpest VR games I've ever played. There's like no visual dithering or any like weird stuff happening in this game for me, to a degree that I'm like, whoa, is this like because of the black and white? Is that how, did they figure something out? Really cool. Eye tracking with the telekinesis, highlighting stuff so that you can pick it up. The fact that they have it figured out, so eye tracking controls what you grab, but your hand controls like where it moves. So what ends up happening in the game, I feel like, is that I totally feel like I have this like movie scene in my head where I'm like a Jedi chained up and I'm like scanning the room and I'm like, okay, what am I gonna grab? You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I highlight it with my eyeballs and I'm like, okay, that's what I want. And then with my hand, I'm just like, ah, boosh, you know what I mean? And you can do the silliest things in this game where it's like, at first, you're grabbing this crate and you're not that good at it and you're trying to smash people with it. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Eventually, you get good at the game. I know I was telling you, my meta was grabbing a crate, using it as a shield, and then like, you know, shooting out from the sides of it. You get some upgrades, roguelites. I love my upgrades. Now all of a sudden you can grab enemies. And I don't know about you, Joey, but the second I got that upgrade, that was all I did. That was every time I had a choice between, okay, you can pick this or this, I always leveled up my telekinesis because I was doing my whole run gun-ho. You're done, you're throwing you over there, I'm smashing you into you. Oh my God, so fun.
Yeah, and at the same time, it doesn't like overpower you because like it's not like unless you get like more abilities later on that upgrade your telekinesis and the strength of it, the enemies like don't immediately die when you throw them. But you know what I hated, Jake? I hated those stupid enemies that like run towards you and scream and then blow up. I always threw them out of the way like with telekinesis, like you suck, get out of here. And that kind of brings me to some things I don't really like particularly love about the game. I always forget that I can like grab cover and like use it to crouch. So I felt like that feature was sort of like, I don't know, not made to be as important as it was. Sometimes I did. It was really helpful against the giant chain gun enemies, but also the climbing. I always wonder, why is climbing even in this game? There is an option where you can climb through some spots to like for some shortcuts, but it doesn't really, for one, it's janky. Like, I don't feel like it's very responsive in the same way like Horizon, the Call of the Mountain was. Like, I'm always trying to reach for the ledge and I can't get to it. I don't know if that has something to do with my setup. Other than that, climbing's not even used that much, so why is it even there? And I've also had instances where actually one time I threw an enemy off of like a cliff. They didn't die, so they were stuck there. Thankfully, the game sort of has a fail-safe where they can like transport like over to you, I guess, to avoid that, but it took forever in this case. I thought I was gonna have to restart my game. I was very scared. Those are really the flaws, quote unquote, that I have with this game, which just goes to show just how great it is.
To comment really quickly on that climbing thing, though, something I realized was that you can kind of like vault yourself over things way more than you think you can.
True.
So if they're, so you can like really tug down and your character kind of like really goes flying a little bit.
Whee! And
there were a couple situations where I was like, okay, that was pretty lit actually. But I just like you were kind of saying this too. I feel like the stages are not really designed for climbing. So you don't ever, it doesn't really like enter your brain to be like, oh, I should be climbing right now. But I like the mechanic in a conceptual way of having like you use your trigger to, on one hand, pull the trigger of your gun, on the other hand to use your telekinesis. But then it's like your L1, R1 type buttons on the PS VR2 controllers. That's like activating your hand, so you go up to these things and you kind of like move yourself around them that way. I thought that was a good like way to design that. Like it didn't really mean anything in this game, but I was like, oh, that somebody should steal that in a game where it does make more sense.
Yes.
Because that was smart. It's very intuitive. And on that subject really quick, the other thing, the triggers. You can pick up explosive barrels in this game, but you cannot push the trigger all the way or else they'll explode in your telekinetic hand. So you have to kind of just lightly pick it up and then, oh my God, this is the kind of thing I find so fun. I love these stupid triggers on these PS5 controllers, and anytime I accidentally blew up a tank in my hand, I was like, it's fine. I deserved it. I wasn't thinking. Yeah,
that is fantastic stuff. The barrel stuff especially, I was just like, oh no, I'm gonna forget that I have to hold on to this lightly, which I did a couple times. But at the same time, it's pretty easy to remember, like, the more you play. So, yeah, I had a lot of fun with the barrels more than anything.
But please, let's talk about this story. So I gave you the broad thrust of it. You're going into this guy's brain. You're trying to get these secrets. I will say that outside of like that initial premise, the game is never confronting you with like, you need to sit here while we dole out some story to you, really. So it's a lot like these little messages, these little like kind of people, these two people, David Hayter and Jennifer Hale.
Yes.
Okay, talking to you in your ear, one being like, do the mission, the other one being like, hey, you don't know what you're doing. Yeah, did it have any kind of impact on you?
Nope, not one bit.
Okay,
I just liked hearing David Hayter talk, and I think that's part of the reason why they cast these two voice actors, because they are the celebrities in the video game space. Everyone knows who Jennifer Hale is. Everyone knows who David Hayter is. Other than that, the story is fairly basic and by the numbers. Like, the concept is cool, jacking into someone's mind to get these plans for like an attack that's going to happen somewhere on the planet. Very Inception-like, because that was like the same premise. Although this one's more bang bang shooty shooty. I love it. Yeah, but other than that, the story is fine.
I think where I kind of land on the story is that it is just totally serviceable for the kind of game that I think you want to be playing on this platform. And I think maybe the voice actors makes you think that you're going to get more than you're getting. Because I feel like what we get at the end of the day is like these two very good voice actors spent a day in the VO booth and we got some good lines out of them.
Yep.
And that's fine. And that's, you know what I mean? And if anything, I think that sometimes this game, never in the gameplay really, but in the stuff around it, kind of shows to me that this team, if given more resources, could really do so much more. And I think the story is one of those elements, because while I don't necessarily need like backstory and exposition and like symbolism and, you know, that kind of, I don't need that kind of narrative. I think it would be cool if we did some more tangling of the game design and the narrative. So like maybe we're talking to the guy about something, and then based on like how we're talking to him, stuff in his mind starts changing, and like you can see the effect that has when you're in the game world. Like stuff like we don't really ever do stuff like that. There's like little things, but they're so canned that it doesn't feel like a narrative inevitability of the plot. And I would say that kind of the variation on a whole, I think, is like the one like really critical sticking point that this game is going to have across most reviews and people who play the game, you know? I think one of my favorite things about roguelites, I'm talking like classic roguelites, like your Enter the Gungeons kind of thing. I've always been drawn to those kinds of games because I love the variation in how you play it. I love I don't know what I'm going to get here, how I'm going to have to adjust my play style to suit the things that the game gives me. And in terms of enemy design and the perks and the weapons and all the different stuff you can pick up, it's pretty rigid. It's pretty much like the game is what the game is. You're doing your shooties, you're doing your telekinesis. But again, it's like resource management. I understand where this comes from, but there is a little bit of a missed opportunity in this game with like, think about how absolutely bonkers it would be if you pick up this power up and it changes the telekinesis in your hand to some other power. All of a sudden you're shooting fire. All of a sudden you're adjusting the ground. You're making the game world change. You know what I mean? There's like a hypnosis perk that you can get. You could even maybe make that its own power, do a little Jedi mind trick thing. Totally in this game, by the way. You can just Jedi mind trick people, which is great. But yeah, there's definitely some room there to mix things up a little bit. But in the version of the game that we have played so far, it really, and would you agree with this assessment? It seems like once you've played it, you've seen a lot of what the game has to offer.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. And yeah, it's a must play. Like on the official GameXplain review scale, Jake, what would you give this game?
Oh, I'm really torn, Joey. I'm torn.
So you give it a mixed. All right, you heard it here folks.
No, I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, I like this game a lot. So another PSVR2 rogue game that I really enjoy is Light Brigade. And I think that this game is, all VR games, they exist on a spectrum of jank. And I think that this one is a lot tighter than maybe... I love Light Brigade. I think this game's maybe a lot tighter with a little less variation in its game design. So you get that kind of like really nice core experience. And I think that core experience is so good, so fun, that if you already have this PlayStation VR2 platform, you've got this thing sitting in your house, buying this game at its price point No brainer. No brainer. You're gonna have a good time. I just can't imagine people picking this up and not liking it. That's how fun I think it is.
I'm the same way too. Yeah, totally. It's got a bit of a learning curve, at least it was for me. But once you get past that learning curve, it's an absolute blast. It gets more fun the more you play because you unlock stuff through a skill tree and you get more perks along the way. It's just fantastic.
I can't wait to go back and get the platinum. I'm definitely getting the platinum. Oh, really quick. Okay, so the little like achievements that you do that give you points so that you can buy more upgrades. Every single one of those is a trophy. Great design decision, because what's happening is you realize you accomplished one of those little achievements. You killed this many enemies this way. You did this thing in that amount of time, whatever it is. You're playing the game and you go, oh, okay. Now you get that little trophy pop and you know you are going to be able to buy something when you come back out. I actually thought that was really nice. It helped me like keep track of them and just like keep them in my mind.
Yes.
And then when you get those points, when you break open those achievements, it has you do it with like your telekinesis hand as you like squeeze the trigger down and like break them open. Great stuff. Good
Fantastic stuff. Synapse, it's worth it. Go buy it if you have a PSVR2. Fantastic game. Let me know in the comments if we convinced you to pick it up or if you're going to pick it up anyway. So until next time, everyone, bye-bye.